Family, let me talk to you straight, heart to heart, because time is shorter than we think. There's a scene Ellen White wrote about, a vision so heavy that even angels wept. She said she saw God's people on the Sabbath, some worshiping with fire in their bones, some distracted, careless, cold, some going through the motions, while heaven watched in silence, because the Sabbath, God's own sign, His seal, His mark upon His people, was treated like a burden instead of a blessing. And she heard an angel say, if they truly understood what this day means, the world itself would tremble. My friend, listen to me. Heaven is watching how you worship. Heaven is watching how you live. Heaven is watching whether your heart belongs to God or this world. And today I'm about to give you something serious. 5 things that determine if you are truly saved. Not your denomination, not your church membership, not your family, not your feelings, but the condition of your soul. Let's go. Your relationship with truth. Truth is not just information. It is not a doctrine you memorize, a verse you quote, or a belief you inherited from your parents or your denomination. Truth is a call. Truth is a voice. Truth is a summons from God Himself, asking you to step out of what is comfortable and step into what is eternal. And when God brings truth to your life, it never shows up gently. Truth comes to disrupt, to shake, to expose, to challenge, and to awaken parts of you that tradition has put to sleep. The greatest danger to your salvation is not deception from outside. It is comfort on the inside. It is the quiet assumption that because you grew up in the church, because you know the Sabbath, because you can recite prophecy charts, because you follow certain practices, that you automatically possess truth. But truth is not passed down genetically. Truth is not inherited. Truth is chosen. Many people today cling to tradition like a blanket because it feels safe. Tradition allows you to stay where you are without changing. Tradition lets you keep your habits, your mindset, your pride. Tradition doesn't demand transformation. But truth demands a cross. Truth demands surrender. Truth demands that you lay down everything you thought you knew and say, Lord, teach me, correct me, break me, rebuild me. The reason so many run from truth is because truth exposes what tradition hides. Tradition can hide pride, it can hide jealousy, it can hide lukewarmness, it can hide a heart far from God under the appearance of religion. But when truth shows up, it shines like a spotlight and reveals the real you, the you that God already sees. And here's the real test of salvation. How do you respond when truth confronts you? Do you defend yourself? Do you excuse yourself? Do you become offended, angry, or stubborn? Or do you fall on your knees and say, Lord, have your way in me? Every time God sends truth, He is extending mercy. He is giving you a chance to change before time runs out. Truth never comes to condemn, it comes to rescue. But rescue only works if you're willing to be pulled out of the water. Too many people are drowning in tradition while arguing against the very truth God sent to save them. Some reject truth because it is different from what they always heard. Some resist truth because accepting it means admitting they were wrong. Some turn away because truth will cost them friends, relationships, habits, comfort zones, or positions. But listen carefully. Truth will always cost you something, but it will never cost you more than deception will. Deception will cost you your soul. Truth will cost you your pride. And God will never judge you for what you didn't know, but He will judge you for what you refused to accept once you knew it. You can go to church every Sabbath and still resist truth. You can preach, sing, teach, and still reject God's voice in your private life. Salvation is not about the amount of light you have. It's about what you do with the light you've been given. When truth speaks, the saved respond instantly. Their hearts are tender. Their spirits are surrendered. They don't argue with God. They obey Him. They don't negotiate with conviction. They submit to it. They don't run back to tradition. They walk forward into divine revelation. And here's what most people don't want to admit. Truth will make you uncomfortable, before it sets you free. God uses truth to reshape your identity, redefine your purpose, and tear down anything in your life that does not look like Him. But once you let truth in, once you surrender to it, once you embrace it with your whole heart, you become unstoppable, you become unshakable, you become a true disciple. Because at the end of the day, salvation belongs to those who love truth more than tradition, more than opinions, more than comfort, and more than self. Those are the ones heaven seals. Those are the ones God calls His own. Those are the ones who will stand in the final crisis, not because they knew everything, but because when truth came, they chose to follow it, no matter the cost. Your obedience, when nobody is watching. Obedience is not proven in the spotlight. It is proven in the shadows. Anyone can look righteous when the choir is singing, when the pastor is preaching, when the cameras are rolling, or when the church family is watching. But the real measure of your walk with God is revealed in those quiet, hidden, lonely moments when no human eye can see you, when no applause is available, and when no one will ever know what you choose to do. Heaven sees the private life long before it judges the public one. The truth is simple, but heavy. Your secret life is your real life. It is the version of you that God measures, angels record, and demons fear or celebrate. This is why your salvation is connected to obedience when nobody is watching. Because private obedience reveals who you truly belong to. The person you are when you're alone is the person God will judge, the person heaven will save, and the person the Holy Spirit is trying to shape into the image of Christ. Every battle that determines who you are spiritually happens privately. The temptation no one else knows about. The conversation you could have entertained but chose not to. The website you could have visited but resisted. The attitude you could have embraced but rejected. The bitterness you could have fed but surrendered. The sin you could have hid but confessed. These are the decisive moments heaven studies. These are the moments that reveal the real condition of your heart. Private obedience proves that your relationship with God is not performance. It is commitment. Obedience with an audience is easy. Obedience without witnesses is sacred. When you obey in private, it means God has access to the deepest places in your soul. It means you fear Him, not people. It means you value His approval over human praise. It means you love Him enough to choose holiness even when there is no reward, no recognition, and no applause attached. The enemy knows this. This is why he attacks you the hardest when you are alone. He knows your public image means nothing if he can control your private life. He knows your reputation cannot save you. Your secret habits will shape your destiny. You can preach, sing, teach, evangelize, and still be spiritually dying if your private obedience is weak. Your gifts may take you places, but your obedience is what keeps you from falling. God is not looking for perfect people. He is looking for honest ones. He is looking for those who tremble at His word behind closed doors. He is looking for those who choose Him in silence. He is looking for those whose character remains faithful, even in isolation. Because if you obey God when no one is watching, you will stand for Him when the whole world is watching. Private obedience also builds spiritual strength. Every secret victory becomes armor. Every hidden surrender becomes a foundation. Every unseen act of faithfulness deepens your root. And when the final crisis comes, when the pressure rises, when the Sunday law test falls upon the world, those who practiced obedience in private will be the only ones strong enough to stand publicly. This is why heaven pays such close attention to the secret place. God sees the midnight prayers nobody hears. He sees the forgiveness you extend without announcement. He sees the temptations you resist without testimony. He sees the generosity you give without posting. He sees the battles you fight quietly, the tears you cry secretly, the choices you make silently. Nothing is wasted, nothing is forgotten, nothing is unseen. And here is the beauty. Private obedience creates intimate relationship. When you honor God in secret, He fills your life in ways that are impossible to explain. He becomes real. He becomes personal. He becomes your strength, your friend, your refuge, your guide. Public religion can make you look saved. Private obedience proves you are saved. At the end of the day, salvation is not determined by how loudly you worship, but by how faithfully you obey when no one will ever know. Because the God who sees in secret is the God who will reward openly, and your quiet obedience today will echo in eternity. Your relationship with the Sabbath. The Sabbath is not just a commandment, it is a revelation of who you belong to. It is not merely a day of rest, it is a spiritual covenant, a divine signature, a weekly heartbeat of heaven, echoing through your life. Your relationship with the Sabbath reveals the posture of your soul, the direction of your allegiance, and the depth of your love for God. This is why the Sabbath is more than routine. It is a test of loyalty, honor, and identity. When you understand the weight of what the Sabbath represents, you begin to see why angels wept when Ellen White saw God's people treating it lightly. The Sabbath is God saying, remember who you are. Remember who I am. It is a weekly invitation back into Eden, into intimacy, into rest, into holiness. It is the one commandment that interrupts our world-driven routines and forces us to choose. Will we follow God's rhythm or the world's pace? Will we honor the Creator or bow to the demands of culture? The Sabbath is not simply observed. It is demonstrated by your attitude toward it. And attitude is everything. Some keep the Sabbath as a habit, but not as a relationship. They rest their bodies but not their souls. They stop working, but they do not start worshiping. They refrain from labor, but they do not enter into joy. To them, the Sabbath is a restriction, not a celebration. They guard the edges of the day, but lose the heart of the day. But the Sabbath was never meant to be a list of rules. It was meant to be an encounter with God, a sanctuary in time, a sacred appointment set by the King of the universe himself. To honor the Sabbath is to honor the one who made it. To delight in the Sabbath is to delight in the God who rests with his people. When Sabbath becomes heavy to you, it is because your heart is drifting from the one who sanctified it. When Sabbath becomes routine to you, it is because your relationship with the giver of the Sabbath has become routine. The Sabbath is a mirror, and it reflects the truth about your spiritual health. This is why Ellen White saw angels weeping, not because people were openly sinning, but because they were worshiping without reverence, observing without joy, singing without heart, attending church without connection. They were doing the right things with the wrong spirit. They honored the Sabbath with their lips but denied it with their attitude. Heaven does not measure Sabbath keeping by what you avoid, but by what you embrace. You can avoid work all day, but still miss the presence of God entirely. The Sabbath is a sign, not of inconvenience, but of distinction. God says, this is the sign between me and my people, not between him and the world, not between him and religious tradition, but between him and those who are truly his. The Sabbath is like God's seal on your heart. It shows heaven whose side you're on. It shows hell who has authority over your life. And it shows the world who your ultimate loyalty belongs to. When you step into Sabbath with joy, heaven rejoices. When you prepare your heart before the sun sets, heaven leans in. When you slow down enough to listen to God's voice, angels stand beside you. When you choose worship over entertainment, reverence over distraction, holiness over convenience, every divine being in heaven takes notice, because you are aligning yourself with God's law, God's love, and God's identity. But when you treat the Sabbath casually, when you rush into it unprepared, when you sleep through it, when you treat it like a day off instead of a holy convocation, heaven feels the grief, because the Sabbath is not just any day. It is the seal for the final crisis. In the end times, it will be the dividing line between those who follow God fully and those who follow convenience, culture, or compromise. Your relationship with the Sabbath is telling a story about your salvation, not because Sabbath keeping earns salvation, but because Sabbath keeping reveals salvation. It shows whether you value what God values, whether you prioritize what He commands, whether your heart finds joy in His presence, or whether it is drifting toward the world. The Sabbath is a gift that reveals the giver, and when you truly love God, you don't just keep the Sabbath, you look forward to it, you prepare for it, you delight in it, you worship in it, and you meet God in it with all your heart. Your love for people who cannot pay you back. Love becomes real when it costs you something. Anyone can love the people who treat them well. Anyone can love the ones who agree with them, celebrate them, compliment them, or benefit them. But heaven does not measure your salvation by how you love the easy people. Heaven measures it by how you love the hard ones, the ones who drain you, frustrate you, ignore you, misunderstand you, or can never repay you. This kind of love is not natural. It is not comfortable. It is not convenient. It is supernatural. It is the love of Christ flowing through you, revealing whether your heart has truly been transformed. True love is not a feeling. It is a decision. It is not based on who deserves it, but on who needs it. Jesus loved people who betrayed Him, doubted Him, denied Him, and abandoned Him. He washed the feet of the one who would sell Him. He prayed for the ones who nailed Him. He forgave the ones who mocked Him. This is not human love. This is divine love. And when this love begins to live in you, heaven sees it as evidence that you belong to the kingdom. Your salvation is revealed, not by how you treat God, but by how you treat God's children. Loving God is easy. He is perfect, kind, patient, and merciful. Loving people, that is the test. People are flawed. People disappoint you. People misunderstand you. People talk behind your back. People take advantage of your kindness. But God uses these very people to grow you, purify you, refine you, and shape you into the character of Christ. The ones who cannot pay you back are the ones who reveal whether your love is genuine. Loving the poor teaches humility. Loving the annoying teaches patience. Loving the broken teaches compassion. Loving the ungrateful teaches endurance. Loving the difficult teaches surrender. And loving those who cannot repay you teaches the deepest lesson of all. That righteousness is not about what you get, but about who you become. Heaven watches your hidden acts of kindness. The times you helped someone in need without posting it. The times you forgave someone who never said sorry. The times you prayed for someone who hurt you. The times you encouraged someone who could give you nothing in return. These moments are recorded in heaven as treasures. Angels lean close when you show unselfish love, because every time you love like Christ, darkness loses ground and heaven gains victory in your heart. The enemy will always fight this kind of love, because it destroys selfishness. Selfishness is the root of every sin, but unselfish love uproots everything. Hell tries to plant inside you. It crushes pride. It defeats bitterness. It silences jealousy. It breaks generational cycles of anger and resentment. When you choose to love the unlovable, you are breaking the devil's chains off your own soul. The truth is, love for those who cannot repay you reveals whether Christ is truly living in you. A selfish Christian is a contradiction. A prideful Christian is a contradiction. The world does not recognize Christ through our doctrines. It recognizes Him through our character. And the greatest character trait of Christ is love. When you love the ones who can give you nothing, you are imitating the heart of God. Because God loved humanity when we had nothing to offer Him. He saved us when we had no way to repay Him. He came to us when we were running away from Him. And He continues to bless us, even though we fail Him daily. This is why Jesus said that loving your enemies, blessing those who curse you, and helping the poor is the truest evidence of salvation. You are never more like Christ than when you love someone who has nothing to offer you. That is the kind of love that proves heaven lives within you. That is the kind of love angels rejoice over. And that is the kind of love God will honor when your name is called in the final judgment. Because in the end, you will not be judged by how much you knew, but by how deeply you loved. Love is the language of the saved. Love is the mark of the redeemed. Love is the fruit that proves the root. And love, especially for those who cannot pay you back, is the clearest sign that Christ has truly transformed your heart. Your readiness for the final test. Readiness for the final test is not built in a moment. It is built in a lifestyle. The last crisis will not create your character. It will reveal it. When the Sunday law breaks upon the world, when loyalty to God is challenged, when convenience collides with conviction, your response in that hour will be nothing more than the natural overflow of the choices you have been making every day. The final test will expose who you already are, not who you hope to become. This is why heaven watches your preparation with intense interest, because eternity is shaped long before the crisis arrives. Most people think readiness is about knowledge. They think being prepared means understanding prophecy charts, studying Daniel and Revelation, or knowing the timeline of end-time events. Knowledge is important, but knowledge alone will not keep you faithful. Judas had knowledge, Lucifer had knowledge, the Pharisees had knowledge. Readiness is not built on information but on transformation. It is a heart surrendered, a will aligned, and a character grounded in Christ. The final test will not intimidate those who walk with God daily. The crisis will shock the world, but it will not shock the faithful, because their strength does not come from circumstances. It comes from deep internal righteousness formed by daily surrender. Those who choose God in small decisions will stand for Him in great ones. Those who treat obedience casually today will compromise quickly when pressure comes tomorrow. Readiness begins with discipline. The discipline of prayer when you don't feel like praying. The discipline of studying the Word when distractions are pulling you everywhere. The discipline of resisting sin when temptation whispers in your weakest moment. The discipline of choosing God again and again until His voice becomes more familiar to you than your own desires. Discipline builds spiritual muscle, and spiritual muscle is what will hold you when the winds of the final test blow fiercely. Readiness also requires detachment. The final test will expose what you cling to: status, comfort, relationships, possessions, approval, or the praise of people. Anything you love more than God becomes a chain the enemy will use against you. This is why God calls us now to hold everything loosely, to live simply, to walk humbly, to refuse compromise, and to cultivate a heart unattached to the world system. The more you die to the world today, the less power the world will have over you during the crisis. But readiness is not only about discipline and detachment. It is about intimacy. You must know God, not know about Him, not know doctrine, not know religion. You must know Him personally. In the final crisis, what will sustain you is not the church building, not your pastor, not your favorite sermon, not your denomination. It will be the presence of God Himself. Those who walk with Him now will recognize His voice then. Those who lean on Him today will trust Him when the world collapses. The final test will separate fans from followers, believers from disciples, religious people from surrendered people. Many will crumble not because they didn't love God, but because they never learned to depend on Him fully. They never built a prayer life. They never surrendered their idols. They never trained their character. They never chose obedience in discomfort. When the test comes, they will look for strength they never cultivated. But those who are ready, those who have been quietly building their serial foundation, will shine. They will stand with courage, peace, clarity, and unshakable conviction. Their faith will not be shaken because it has already been tested privately. Their obedience will not falter because it has already been proven in smaller battles. Their trust will not collapse because it has already been anchored deeply in God's promises. Readiness is a lifestyle. It is built every morning you choose prayer, every temptation you resist, every truth you embrace, every act of love you give, every moment you surrender, every Sabbath you honor, every sacrifice you make for God. And when the final test arrives, heaven will look at you not with fear, but with confidence, because your life will already testify that you belong to God. And in that moment, when the world bows to pressure and compromise, you will stand, not because you were strong, but because you were prepared.